Hey, how are you? Long time no see, Rochelle. Dude, TikTok has been hating on you and me, Rochelle. Good morning, Addie. Long time no see you either. Hey, everybody. Rochelle, I only just last night got the alert that there's a turnaround Alan Patreon. Obviously, I signed up immediately for the highest level of it. But I didn't even know, and I feel like TikTok's been a jerk and hasn't been showing me your content or John's, which I find to be distasteful. They're supposed to show me it. That's what friends do. Friends share their friends' comments or content. Work is nuts and I must book club constantly. Well, I got good news for you, Addie. We're starting a brand new book today. Today's a brand new book. So anyone who's here right now, let me make sure the girls know because I haven't been this early in a hot minute. Today's a new book. So anyone who hasn't been here for a couple of days or anything like that, it's not really a big deal because you won't be behind at all. Yeah. I really like your videos. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate that. Good morning. Good morning. I have strep, so I'm cozy to listen. Amazing. In case anyone on here doesn't know, I launched my Patreon last night, and there is a book club level. So if anyone wants to support book club, feel free to pop over to that and support it. That would be so great. And that is pretty much the whole kit and caboodle of things that I have to say until... What's everyone drinking this morning? What? You have strep? That's really freaking awful. Are you hydrating fully? Please tell me you're hydrating yourself. Morning, Amanda. Morning, Shira. Morning, everybody. Morning, slow blink. Why slow blink? Not really. Rochelle. This is my... You're the mom, but I'm going to give you my mom eyes. You need to hydrate. Listen, honey, it's time that you actually take your sickness seriously. And if you hydrate, you know you're going to get better faster. So I need you to go to the kitchen. Or do you want me to go to the kitchen for you and get you some water, maybe some warm tea? I have a monarch about to... Ooh, can you send pictures in our chat? Was that too much? Did I go too far? Yes, ma'am. Good. See, there you go. I just need her to hydrate. It's because I love her. It's not, you know, a thing. It's all out of love. It's all out of love. I need water also. See, look, I'm pouring you water. You're going to hydrate. Maybe you should get some hot tea. Do you have a link for the Patreon? Yes, it's patreon.com/rainbow slime girl. I'm not allowed to put links actually in the thing because, oh my God, Lake Arrowhead. I want to go. I'm jealous. Jealous. Yeah, this one. Let me see if I can pin this. That's what it is. Good morning to all. I'm making coffee and then we're going to start a brand new book this morning. That shirt is huge on you. It's a sweatshirt. I have another shirt underneath. This is, so excited about the Patreon. Shira stickers are going to be such a fun ad. Agreed. My name is Sasha. What's your name? Morning, Sasha, and everyone can't stay for too long being at 7:30, but I sheltered in. No worries. It's the first day of the new book, Anya, so I'll have it up on the you-know-what for you. I know, but it's like a dress. Yeah, those should be huge and comfortable. I like them this way. It's very comfy. I've had this one for a long time. Ooh, yummy, yummy, yummy. That's the level I signed up for. Yeah, when are you restocking Roll for Slime? There are some Roll for Slimes available on Patreon right now. The next Roll for Slime restock that is not Patreon is TBD. But I will have info on that hopefully soon. But right now, Roll for Slimes are currently up on Patreon. Morning, Shandy. That was a disappointing pour. I know. Your name is Zuri? I have another friend named Zuri, actually. I've known her for a long time, like almost 15 years. Wow. The video set appointment got excited of the new book, but said Land of Stories. I know, me too. But we'll go back to Land of Stories. Don't worry. We'll finish it. Don't worry. We'll finish it. Hey, Shandy. We missed you. Yeah, to everyone who was on the live last night, I woke up this morning to milk on my lip. The world's fastest reader. I mean, I don't know about that. Hi, Madison. To 20 Patreons, which is kind of the amount that I thought I would get total. So the fact that we got that overnight is kind of amazing. And I'm so grateful for you all. You guys are amazing. I literally, like when I was talking to Secret Boyfriend, I was like, maybe I'll get 20 people. And he was like, okay. Maybe I'll get more than 20 people now. Who's to say? I kind of want a croissant to celebrate. I know. The graphics are still chef's kiss. I automatically signed up and then upgraded. So many awesome options. Oh, I'm so glad that you like the options that I made. I have to tell you, I worked really hard. And only 17 are mods. No, I know. No, that's hilarious. Actually, I don't think all the mods have signed up, which is totally fine. They don't have to at all. But I think some mods are either still making decisions or in a financial place not to sign up or like different things like that, which I completely support. And I told them all that they did not need to do that. So it's actually less mods than you think. But yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool. Secret Boyfriend did great on the graphics. Agreed. I totally understand, Amanda. We were talking last night. I have no money, but the money is worth it. Shelly, you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't sign up if you have no money. I don't judge. Not a mod, but I forgot. Oh yeah, no worries at all on it. You don't have, nobody has to do it. But what I was going to say, Amanda, if you can't decide, the good thing is you can go up and down at will. And the reason that that's good is because, like, maybe 1 month you want to roll for slime. Maybe 1 month you only want the stickers. Maybe, you know what I mean? Which is totally fine. Yeah. Because, like, some people may not want roll for slime for, like, a whole year. They might just want roll for slime for 1 or 2 months, which, great. Someone else will jump in, I'm sure. I'm hoping to sign up once I get... Oh my God, I feel that, Julia. I feel that. I seriously feel that. Okay, so the new book that we're going... I want that level, but I don't want roll for slime. What do you want? You want the custom one, Amanda? Is that what the thing is? A custom plus book tier. That is a possibility. We can add that. I do, but I want all the stuff from that level. Amanda, why don't you get the roll for slime level, and then when I email you to fill out the roll for slime form, just be like, I didn't want roll for slime, I just want a custom this month. Hang up to Mountain's gonna lose server soon. Love y'all. We love you too, Shira. Can't wait to show them the sticker that you made. Just because I can't take on any more customs or roll for slimes, but I can trade them out kind of like this, and that's okay. You know what I mean? So, yeah, no, it's not dramatic. As long as I'm not having an additional customer roll for slime, that's the only thing I can't do. I can't add another one, but I can trade them like this. That's okay. Because they take roughly the same amount of time to do. Roll for slimes actually take just a little longer. So it's not like a significant amount longer, like a couple minutes, like in editing. But you can just email me when I email you the form to fill out for roll for slime and be like, no. I don't want this. Because I know you want, I understand what you're saying. You want all the other stuff. I should probably put a thing in that one that says like roll for slime or custom. Like we can go back and forth between those. And the custom level should probably be custom or roll for slime also. You know what? That's actually not a bad idea. I should probably change it so that anyone who just wants roll for slime and doesn't want all the other stuff can just grab that. Now that I'm thinking about it, that might actually be a good idea. Max wants my phone and is trying to convince me you are too tired for book club. Max, I'm great. I have a croissant. What could be better, baby? What could be better? Sasha's too tired for book club. That's hilarious. Hi, Stephanie. I'm almost done. She told me because I can read minds and I would have figured it out anyway. So, like, you might as well just tell me in advance. Hey. Good morning. How are you? How's Texas? How hot is it? Is it brutal? Because I tell Sasha everything. That's right. I'm trying Liquid IV for the first time. Oh, yeah? I can never do those flavored packets in my water. I don't know why. Texas is hot. I believe that. I'm wondering if being hydrated will make me less tired. Probably. Oh, no. Telling kids that adults have superpowers is my favorite thing. It's true. I have plenty of superpowers. Slightly cranky. I get that. It's 82 at 9 a.m. Whoa. I don't like that for you guys. All right, so this is our new book. It's called The Fairy Bargain of Prospect Hill. And when Shira and I went to the bookstore to get the second Land of Stories, we walked by this and it said, buy one, get one 50% off. And the two of us looked at each other and we were like, do we both want to get it? So we both just bought this book together. High temp in New York City is 91 roughs. So I'm going to read you all the back of it so you can kind of get a feel for what's up. Okay. On Prospect Hill, you can get nearly anything you want from the Fae if you know how to ask and if you pay the price. That's the tagline-y thing here. And now for the blurb. Sorry, I have a little bit of hiccups because I ate that croissant too fast. There's no magic on Prospect Hill, or anywhere else for that matter, but just on the other side of the veil is a world of the Fae. Generations ago, the first farmers learned to bargain small trades to make their lives easier. A little bit of glass to find something they lost, a cup of milk for better layers in the chicken coop. Much of that old wisdom was lost as the riverboats gave way to the rail lines and the farmers took work at the mills and factories. Elaine Fairborn's family, however, was always superstitious, and she still hums the rhymes to ensure the dry weather on her sister's wedding day. When Delphine confides in her that her new husband is not the man she thought he was, Elaine will stop at nothing to help her sister escape him. Small bargains buy them time, but the price for true freedom may be more than they're willing to pay. Wild, right? So, fairies and stuff. And I just went to, Fairy Hill. All right. The name of the book is The Fairy Bargain of Prospect Hill. The Fairy Bargain of Prospect Hill. Chapter 1. Where flowers bloom unfadingly and leaves are evergreen, fortune's winds are shifting by fairy touch unseen. Folk song. When the Madison Railroad laid the tracks to the base of Prospect Hill, there were no roads cleaving the thickly forested slopes and houses overlooking the distant river. A few farmsteads were nestled into the beech woods on the other side of the crest, out of view of the rail workers driving spikes through oak ties untouched clay. Horatio Canner was one of those rail workers, and when he looked up into the tapestry of boughs, he thought it was the most beautiful place he had ever seen. He took his lunch breaks at the edge of the clearing for the railway, shorn saplings and ragged trunks of great oaks and walnuts crowding the space where the sunlight ended
and the shade of the forest began. Horatio sat on a walnut stump, feeling a bit like a trespasser. And then he heard a soft rustle and saw a shimmer of light in the shadows of the branches. A girl. Not a girl, exactly, he amended, and he stood hastily and swept his hat off off his close-cropped hair. A young woman, hovering on the edge of adolescence, eyes wide and thin lips parted to speak. Instead, she turned and slipped between the trunks. After a moment's hesitation, he followed. It seemed almost as though she led him on purpose, slowing when he lost the pale form of her white dress through the trees, hastening again when he came too close until she stopped beneath a linden tree in full bloom. Horatio Canner was not a country boy, or he might have paused to wonder why a linden tree was blooming in the first fits of spring warmth. He had been born out east, and he had never pressed into the thick forests and still wild places beyond the mountain ranges until he took work with the railroads. He could be forgiven then, too, for assuming that the plain white dress the girl had on was what country folk wore, so unlike any fashion he'd seen back home or in the outlying towns along the river as the steamboat chugged past. Horatio Canner didn't consider any of these things as the girl met his eyes, held out her hand, and finally spoke. "Hey, Liz." Thank you for this. I'm going to pin this. This was smart. Thank you. Good. "What do you offer? And what do you ask?" Horatio blinked. I reckon that is, I don't quite know what you mean." She cocked her head. Her neck was as slender as a swan's, Horatio thought, and the plain dress skimmed the figure that you could have thought was one of the sapling circles trees. "You followed me to the gate, but you don't mean to ask for anything? Well." Her smile was sharp and tight. "Perhaps still, you've something to offer, and I could tell you what it's worth?" Horatio still didn't understand, but he dug into his pockets anyway. I've got a bag of tobacco and the pipe for it," he began. She winced and pulled away. It stood to figure a young lady wouldn't be interested in smoking, and he chided himself. "And this kerchief." He dug out the red printed cotton and held it out. Her eyes shone. "You'd part with it then?" "Well, I suppose." He took a step closer, but she held up a hand. "Oh, it's dear enough," she murmured, her eyes still on it. "A true red." She scanned him up and down, and he felt red for the simple man that he was. "If you could ask for anything, what would you want?" "A parcel of Prospect Hill, I suppose," he said with a laugh. 50 acres, I'll tend to it." She plucked the kerchief from his hand. In her pale fingers it somehow looked more real, more solid, and most unorthodox transaction, she amused. "But as you will." The girl stepped into the trees and disappeared, leaving Horatio Canner gaping at nothing. And that is how Orchard Crest came into our family, Papa Horatio finished with a flourish, tipping back his coupe of sparkling wine made from the grapes of the North Slope. "I didn't realize I was marrying into a fairy-favored family until we'd said the wedding vows," Jack Fairborn said with a wink at his wife. "You ought to have guessed," Elaine replied, playfully swatting at his arms. "After all, how do you think you managed to end up on my dance card for the waltz every ball of the season until we got engaged?" Elaine Fairborn had heard the stories of her grandfather's encounter with the Fae hundreds of times if she'd heard it once. He'd never seen the pale woman again, and no one else in the family had ever seen one of the Fae. Still, the fairy woman kept her end of the bargain. Within 2 months, he bought a farmstead at the crest of Prospect Hill for a song, the seller shaving 50 acres off a sprawling tract of land to pay off a gambling debt. It was a stroke of luck. The magnitude Horatio had never seen before and never seen since. The other story she'd heard hundreds of times, if once, was how a disoriented Horatio, wandering away from the blooming linden tree between the Fae and human worlds, had stumbled upon the Riley family farmstead and met a plump, tanned, and very human girl feeding a flock of ruddy chickens. Gran had always laughed at this when she told her side of the story, that she knew that her husband had perfection on his mind from that Fey woman, and she could never live up to it. And then Papa Horatio would flush red and protest that Lilibeth was the loveliest woman in the world, in any world, and that he'd never been happier than on their wedding day. "That's enough, Papa," Elaine's mother said with a sigh, swiping his glass before he could refill it. "You have to leave us a few bottles for the wedding. I've been wearing my fingers to the bone for 2 weeks getting the garden ready, and we won't have last-minute wine shortage to account for." "Having it in the garden? I've never heard of such a thing. Me and Lilibeth got married in the church. Proper," Papa Horatio said with a sly twinkle in his eyes. "And so did you and my son, Iris. And now my granddaughter gets married in the garden?" "It's fashionable to be married at home," Delphine protested. "Besides, is there any place in the world I love better than Orchard Crest?" "Hardly," Papa Horatio said, "but it doesn't rain inside a church." "It won't rain," Del replied. "Elaine will see to that." "She paid the best attention to Lilibeth," he agrees. "Still, no guarantee like a roof over your head." "When will the Graftons be here on Saturday?" Mother asked for the 15th time. "Morning, Beck." "Rosie, why do I keep calling you Becky? You are Rosie. Becky is a different person. Why do I keep saying that? I am so sorry. Why do I do that? Like I have it in my head when I see your username now. What is wrong? I know your name, obviously. But like, why? Why does my brain do that when I clearly know the answer? It's very strange. At 8 o'clock in the morning, Delphine replied, "and the ladies in the wedding party can get ready in my room and the fellows in the study." "Is Emily allowed in with you?" Elaine asked. She talked of nothing but her flower girl dress since last week. "Of course," Delphine said, a genuine smile breaking the tension in her jaw. "She's my best niece." "Only niece," Mother corrected. "So clearly she's the best," Delphine grinned. "The judge will be here at 10, so we can begin by 11, and then the luncheon is at noon." "Judge?" Papa Horatio shook his head. "The Graftons have some pull getting the damn judge to officiate." "You might forget that we have some pull now too, Papa." Mother stood, her silk taffeta skirt ruffling as she punctuated her point. "Some pull," he said. "Hardly Grafton pull. Oh, Elaine, I keep getting mail delivered from up here on the farm. Something came from the bank." He rifled in his jacket pocket and produced a rumpled envelope. "The bank?" Mother chided. "That's hardly after dinner talk." I think Rebecca is close to my full name. "Yeah, that's true, but I don't think that my brain went there. I don't know. Is this the Waldorf Astoria? Are we at a formal dinner party? Have we had the sorbet course already? Here I thought I was in my own dining room, Iris," Papa Horatio laughed. "I'm sure nothing to worry over, but I'll still worry about it if it is," Elaine said, taking the papers. She traced the sealed envelope fretfully. "Probably another notice. We should go soon." Elaine laid a hand on Jack's in silent signal. No letting Papa Horatio draw them into one more story. No letting Mother finagle Jack into looking at a leaky pipe in the kitchen. His glance went from her hand to the envelope in her lap. He gave her a barely noticeable nod, understanding. "It's almost past Anne's bedtime as it is." "Is she still out in the garden?" Delphine turned and looked out the bay window, lithe neck encased in a high collar of lace. Elaine could have been jealous of her sister's fashionable gown and the flimsy white lace if it hadn't looked so mercilessly scratchy at the seams. She smoothed her own practical wool skirt, the plum color hiding several jam stains. "She would spend the night here if we let her," Elaine said, "but not tonight." "Not any night," Mother said, appalled at the realization that Elaine was joking, at least mostly. Mother had always reined in Elaine's petulance for the woods and wild, trying to teach her flower arranging, piano, and one disastrous summer of watercolors. Elaine took the opposite tact. with Em, indulging her preference for an open afternoon of exploring the forest, tattered hems and muddy shoes notwithstanding. Elaine followed Delphine's gaze out the window. Emily was hanging upside down from a low-hanging branch of a crabapple tree. Delphine fought back a grin. I'll call her in. Elaine watched her sister go with an odd tightness in her throat. Even crossing the family dining room of Orchard Crest, where they'd eaten thousands of breakfasts and dinners, played thousands of games of checkers in the hollows of the bay window, spent thousands of afternoons reading in its long swaths of sunlight, Dell was graceful. Elaine's little sister wasn't just grown up. She was an accomplished lady who had mastered all the genteel arts that their mother had tried to impart on them. Flower arranging, piano, and especially that watercolor. Elaine had long ago stopped begrudging her that. Delphine brought Emily in by the hand. The 6-year-old's face was beaming with admiration for her aunt. She had once told Elaine that Aunt Dell must be a princess. Elaine had very little argument to the contrary. Time to go, love. Say goodnight to Grandma and Papa Horatio. Jack and Elaine let Em slip in front of them on the dirt road that wound through the orchard on one side and through the woods on the other, linking Orchard Crest to their cottage, tucked away near the back ridge of the hill. Papa Horatio and Grandma Lilibeth had built a small cabin on their 50 acres when they were first married, a rustic square of hewn logs and mortar. It still stood where the trees thinned near the ridge, but even Elaine, with her staunch loyalty to every piece of the family's farm history, and especially anything that Papa Horatio had made, had to admit it was cramped and dark. When the orchard had made its first profits, Papa Horatio built the house facing Prospect Hill and named it Orchard Crest. He raised his family there, and Elaine and Dell had grown up there too. No worries, have a good day. When Papa Horatio had offered the strip of land along the ridge to her and Jack, she knew she could never tear down the cabin, but they had built nearby a lavender Queen Anne with white gingerbread trim and windows tucked into sloping eaves that, as they approached from the lane, even now gleamed with the lamps inside. If she was honest with herself, Elaine had always assumed that Delphine would do the same when she was married. Take the offer of a parcel of land and build a cottage as fashionable and pretty as she was, and keep the little world that was Orchard Crest spinning as long as it always had. Then Pierce Grafton had come along and knocked the perfect balance off kilter. Elaine wasn't sure how to write it again, how to imagine the family farm without part of her family. You're deep in thought, Jack softly teased as they rounded the curve in the road and Emily ran up ahead to catch up with the chickens foraging in the tangle of the bloom. She snorted. Hardly. She held back a sigh and stuck it in her throat tight and painful. No, the opposite. I was thinking about the wedding and, well, I suppose anything I could say sounds pretty childish. What, you don't like Pierce Grafton? Jack's blue eyes pinched at the corners, half laughing, but not entirely. Oh, that's not it. Elaine caught herself. Not that I don't like him, of course. It was an open secret between her and Jack that she didn't care for the Perrysburg glass magnate, with his impeccable manners, his thin mustache, his bellowing laugh. But she never said it out loud. It's that she's going away. Doesn't that sound silly? That sounds like something Emily would say. She pushed back a sudden urge to cry, the feeling gumming up the back of her throat. I don't think it's silly at all. Jack caught Elaine's hand and slowed their pace, turning to face her as they stopped. You both lived in Orchard Crest your whole lives. I thought you must have had some sort of secret sisterhood blood pact to never leave, he teased lightly. But the furrow between his eyes deepened. Sorry. I said that in his accent, even though it was narrative. He sensed her fears, her griefs, even if she hadn't articulated them. Maybe we should have. Not. Elaine thought with a flash of anger. That Delphine would have. Maybe we should have. Not, Elaine thought with a flash of anger, that Delphine would have broken it anyway. For Pierce Grafton, for the new house in Perrysburg's best neighborhood, for the chance to be the wife of the sort of person who had season tickets to the opera and invited to the mayor's parties. Elaine felt her ears getting hot, and she clamped down on the runaway thoughts and shamed her selfishness. There was nothing wrong with Delphine wanting any of that, she reminded herself, even if Elaine couldn't see why. But she couldn't shake the feeling somehow that Delphine was turning her back on something more important than both of them, especially now with the bank sending notices every other week. Jack squeezed her hand. It's only Perrysburg. Hardly anything on the train. Maybe we'll get one of those electric motor cars that so many ladies seem to favor. Bye, have a great day, Shelley. Have a great day. I almost called you Shelby. What is wrong with my brain right now? That is not your name. I'm not having a good name day. Woo, can't read. Ridiculous. I don't want an electric motor car, thank you very much. Elaine sighed. Dell's really leaving the farm, she added in a whisper. Bye, Addie. See you later. Elaine stopped herself, but she knew what she meant. At its core, that she had thought the farm was important to Delphine as it was to her, that just like her, Delphine felt the rhythm of the orchard pulsing in her blood, that she would do anything for the 50 acres on the slopes of Prospect Hill, and now Delphine was leaving without a glance behind her. Elaine felt the sting of deep betrayal. Jack settled an arm around her shoulders and pulled her closer. It's a hard change for us. We're used to Delphine at dinner and Delphine helping in the orchard on harvest days and Delphine's jam, thumbprint cookies for tea time. And now someone else gets to have Delphine at dinner and Delphine's tea cookies, Elaine said, fully aware that she sounded petulant, but unable to tell even Jack what she really thought. But one thing is sure, Delphine is still going to help with the harvest. Was that the blood pact? No, but try keeping her away. Elaine smiled, pretending for a moment that she believed Delphine would come back for the autumn harvest. Listen, she said, reining in the terror in her voice. I've got one more thing to do before we turn in. There's an election tomorrow for the Agricultural Society to think of. Jack grinned. First woman to run in the county. In the lower half of the whole state, Elaine retorted. Howard Olson is running the organization into the ground, and Action Wilson right along with him. The two of them are businessmen, not farmers, but they're preying on farmers is more like it. Though Olson managed a granary and Willis owned a transport company that caters to farmers, they weren't truly integrated into the community. And after last year's dismal harvest and Olson's lukewarm response, it was clear that the Agricultural Society needed better leadership. When Elaine looked around the stuffy fellowship hall of the Free Methodist Church and didn't see anyone else raising their hand, she couldn't stop herself. Someone had to push the society out of the slump Olson had driven it into, and if no one else would volunteer, she'd be damned if she'd sit by idly. It did have to come right at the same time as the wedding, Jack joked. I'm sure Olson is running the campaign wagon around town, and you tied to the house making macaroons for the reception. Elaine laughed, but she tasted the bitterness in the joke. Her sister's wedding was a trump card over her plans. The oncoming cherry harvest, the bank's demands on the mortgage, and the health of the Agricultural Society, well, these were all more important than cake or flowers or the dress for the wedding. But Elaine found her attention dragged time and time again back to this one day, this pretty picture Delphine was painting. She didn't want to resent Delphine, but there were other things in her life to attend to. I think I still have a good shot at it. Olson sunk himself by raising prices at the granary in the middle of the worst harvest we've had in a decade. She raised a conspiratorial eyebrow. Besides, I've got another plan. A bargain. Jack's mouth pursed, the way that it always did when he was thinking. Usually when it pinched shut, it was over a legal contract or a political editorial in the paper, and Elaine knew that he had a thesis-length torrent of thoughts percolating on the subject. I don't recall one for local elections. It's not for elections specifically. Lands. Imagine if it worked that way, picking a side to win. Terrifying, actually. Thank goodness bargains didn't work like that, or the political parties would have commandeered them long ago. It's just an extra pinch of good luck. It may or may not work. I haven't tried it before. Her hand hesitated over her pocket, grazing the black soutache trim along the opening. It'll only be a moment. Jack gave her a curious look but didn't press. Unlike most Prospect Hill newcomers, he didn't tease her about bargains or question their efficacy. He'd seen enough for himself, but he considered them her domain just as much as she considered the law firm where he was printed to make junior partner in his territory. Respected, but foreign. She fished out a length of scarlet ribbon and another of white, weighty silk pooling like liquid in her palm. She threaded both through a pair of silver rings, so that when she spun the rings, the ribbon alternated white and red, red and white. A bargain for change, for switches, for reshuffling the cards. As Gran had said, it would take the first and make him last, and take the last first and more efficiently than the preacher at their white clapboard church ever had. Elaine stopped at the garden gate, hanging the ribbon and rings in a loop over the latch, and then she slipped a paper copy of the ballot into the latch too. The Agricultural Society's seal was partially hidden by the silk ribbons. Silk and silver, she whispered, remembering the words Gran had taught her, though she'd never used them. Chance and curse, favored and spurned, now reversed. Elaine left the bargain wedged into the creaky latch of the garden gate. It was a less clear-cut bargain than she'd employed before. It didn't specifically ask for no rain, or an averted snowstorm, or more eggs in the chicken coop, but something intangible, applying a bit of reverse luck to her particular circumstance. She hoped her meaning was clear enough. Gran had instilled in her a healthy distrust of Fey logic, warning her that they'd use a bargain to their own end whenever they could. Still, this was one of Gran's bargains, tested and safe. She let the gate swing closed behind her. There we go. Interesting. Yeesh. Chapter 2 is kind of long. We'll have to do that one either later or tomorrow, because I do have to go get ready to take Zoe to, to dance class. Hey, Sonia. What's up, sweetheart? Any camp today? I'm taking a much tinier niece to dance class soon. What time is it? Let's see. Oh, it's only 7:30. You know what? Maybe we can read another chapter. I don't know. No, just a dentist appointment. Ooh, okay. Well, make sure you get a toy from the little bucket or whatever. I don't know if they do that out there, but we used to have a little toy bucket at the dentist. Do they still do that? Is that still a thing? It does seem good so far. I'm sure it will ramp up. First chapters always have a lot of exposition and things like that in them, so that is... I will announce piano tonight. Piano is the best. Good job. Get really good at piano and then we can sing. That's my favorite when people can play the piano. I love that. It's good stuff. Oh my goodness. We have a treasure chest at our dentist. It's cute. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. All right, so we will have a slime live tonight. She wants you to know that she's a really good singer. Great. We can sing all over Disneyland. It's going to be wondrous. There's plenty of music to sing. Secret Boyfriend doesn't really play piano. Secret Boyfriend took piano lessons when he was little, but he plays guitar quite well. Quite well. So yeah, we're going to have a slime live tonight, probably 6:30 or 7. What else? What else do I need to tell you all? Maybe it'll be the last couple of Roll for Slimes that I'm making. From the regular ones. Or I'll make some Eras slimes. Maybe we'll make Cloud. We got to make Folklore. We got to make Lavender Haze. That's 2 clouds. Maybe I'll make a big batch of Cloud and then split it up into the 2. With Lavender Haze, I'm thinking of having 2 versions. I'm thinking of having one version of Lavender Haze that's actually lavender scented, but I know some people can't handle lavender. So I'm thinking of having one version of Lavender Haze that isn't lavender scented, so people can still have it, but don't have to have the lavender scent. Strawberry Mint Lemonade looked amazing. Can't wait to smell it. It smells pretty great. It's pretty great. I think that's all of the updates. Pretty much the whole shebang, right? Yeah. All right, I'm going to go get ready to take Miss Zoe to dance class. See y'all tonight.